Welcome back to the Daily Dope Show. And yeah, so like we're 5 years into legalization. What has really happened? I'll tell you what hasn't happened is a lot of the reefer madness that we've been hearing about for the last 5 years, or beyond. Actually, we've been hearing about this shit for the last 85 years, or even longer than that. Whatever it is, that shit hasn't happened. None of it. And for this, we're going to read good old Radical Russ, Russ Belville. I haven't read Russ's pieces in a while, and, whenever you need a good perspective, you need to step back and look at stuff and see how things are going or whatever. He's usually pretty good. So I follow him. I check into him once in a while, and I recommend him. In January of 2013, Kevin Sabet was facing a new dilemma. Now, that's another topic on its own, is Kevin Sabet. I'll probably do a video on him sometime in the next 6 months or so, because I'm guessing he's going to throw in the towel. It feels like they're going to throw in the towel over there at these propaganda outlets. Because you look at what they're doing, and it's like they're just having seminars where they talk to a bunch of people that are like 80 years old and shit. Old dinosaurs from the 80s that used to, that was when they had their heyday, the prohibitionists, the 80s. And then other than that, his presence on the internet, like your Twitter and your Facebook and your YouTube and that kind of shit, he doesn't have anything. His groups are almost in every state that's trying to legalize marijuana, and the ones that already have, they basically don't do anything. They don't have any strength. They don't have any influence. They don't buy ad time anymore. They don't. It's almost as if they don't have anything to say anymore, because we've pushed back so hard on all their lies and propaganda bullshit that they don't have nothing left. What did they ever have in the first place? Nothing. Let's see what we got here. This is 5 years in, and this is the things that didn't happen. Never before had any prohibitionist had to fight back against an actual legalization regimen. That's true. For years, Sabet and his kind have issued dire forecasts of the black hellscape America would become under the seductive addiction to the devil's lettuce. Now those predictions would be put to the test in the real world. So let's take a look back at those halcyon days of 2013 when weed had barely been legalized and was not yet legally sold. That didn't happen until 2014, to see how Sabet's predictions panned out. The fear was legalization of marijuana would open the floodgates to more addiction. Fact, legalization of marijuana has led to lower use rates among teens, less opioid addiction, and death. Sabet opined in an October 2013 op-ed at CNN that legality means commercialization, normalization, and wider access and availability that lead to more use and addiction. Sounds like it's a hype. In essence, he's kind of got a couple good points that commercialization and normalization and wider access and availability are results of legality. That's true. Now, does that necessarily mean it's going to lead to more use and addiction? I think it does lead to a little bit more use, because people that would normally be steady users, probably, under a prohibition, it's illegal as hell landscape, probably couldn't get it as often, or it was more expensive, or it was hard to get the good stuff, or whatever. So people are able to use more because they can get consistent product at nearby locations. It's quite simple. And normalization's a good thing. Normalization's a great thing. We don't want to be treated like second-class citizens, straight up. I mean, come on. We're humans. People that smoke weed are human beings. Wider access is a big deal. Commercialization, it's whatever. Now, this whole addiction thing, come on. The very few people out there that get severely addicted from marijuana, it's a real rare thing, if at all. Like, if it's just somebody saying it because they don't want to admit that they have a problem with just being a substance abuser and addicted to that. So according to the 2015-2016 state-level estimates contained in the National Survey of Drug Use and Health, marijuana use has increased in Colorado and Washington following their legalization. However, the increase is found mostly among the adults who are now legally able to use marijuana. Kind of like I just said, like people that would use, regularly do. Now, these are the 12 to 17, There was a little bit of a spike right when the word on the street is it's going to be legal over here in this group, but not too much there, and that shit all went back down. I think what happens is young people just get too uninterested in stuff that's not illegal. As soon as you tell someone not to do something, especially young people, that's how they're going to rebel. They're going to do the thing you told them not to do. So use among people aged 12 to 17 has actually declined since those states began legal marijuana sales in 2014. That's despite the other parts of Sabet's prediction coming true. In 2015-2016, far fewer teens in Colorado and Washington believed monthly marijuana use was risky and disapproved of peers' marijuana use. Whoopee, I say. Fear marijuana users will incur a huge cost to society. Whatever. Tax revenue from legal marijuana has topped well over $1 billion. That's the fact. Shoo, sorry about the yawns. Quote, we know, for example, that every $1 gain in alcohol and tobacco tax revenue costs society $10, Sabet warned Go Local Worcester in Massachusetts. Quote, why should we expect marijuana, which combines the intoxicating properties of alcohol with the lung damage associated with smoking, to be any different? Quote, or maybe because alcohol and tobacco are both toxic and addictive, while marijuana is not. Maybe because people swapping productivity-killing pills for medical marijuana are better workers. Good points. I would also add to that we should not expect marijuana to incur those costs that alcohol incurs, because alcohol fucks you up. Alcohol is the one that when you drink it, you might fall on your face and break your nose open on the curb. Alcohol is the one that people are constantly dying from. 80,000 people a year die from alcohol. We're talking about people that don't even drink in some cases are getting smashed into by, people that are drunk. So pedestrian deaths are on the rise all across America, and the number one cause is drunk drivers running over civilians. I mean, that's what it is. That's why when he set up here that every dollar gained in alcohol and tobacco tax costs society $10. Well, that's because not a lot of people that end up in the cancer ward for the last 5 or 10 years of their life, in some cases, hooked up to iron lungs and shit, can afford any of that. So guess who's got to pay for that? That's you. That's tobacco. 400,000 people a year are dying from that. That's a societal cost. Alcohol, 80,000 people a year die from that. It's a societal cost. Not to mention the emergency room visits and the lost hours of work and blah, blah, blah. You get none of that with marijuana. All right? We just had a 4th of July. All right? If you look up the statistics, the 4th of July weekend or the days surrounding it, 4th of July is the deadliest holiday of the year. And the truth is, 40% of all traffic fatalities happen around 4th of July. And it's drunk driving. So that's why you don't get those costs, because marijuana, you don't get those things. Marijuana doesn't make you fucking crash your car into everything. Marijuana doesn't make you beat your friend up at the bar. Marijuana doesn't make you like lose a day of work after the 4th of July because you were hungover, or after New Year's Eve because you were hungover, or after Easter, or every other damn holiday out there. Because people just get drunk because it's a holiday. All right, back to the article here. By Sabet's reckoning, Colorado and Washington should have incurred over $10 billion in social costs from legal weed, something even he won't try to claim. Instead, they're using pot money for public benefit like building schools. Then we have the fear of marijuana intoxication doubles your car crash risk. Oh, jeez. Really? Fact, Colorado and Washington traffic fatalities, non-fatal crashes, and marijuana DUI charges remained steady or declined since legalization. I think public education on this topic, and as far as like the other one about the overdosing and going to the hospital and shit, if you get the public educated about the safety involved with marijuana, you get a lot less of this stuff. There's no reason people should be scrutinized about how much nanograms of THC are in their damn system. Let's see what old Radical Russ had to say about all this. Sabet told Governor Jennifer Granholm on Current TV back in 2013 that the British Medical Journal published a study showing double the car crash risk for drivers who test positive for THC. But other studies have shown that if you adjust for age, gender, and alcohol use, positive THC detection has no bearing whatsoever on crash risk. Quote, one of the possibility is that people who smoke marijuana share qualities, being young, male, and risk-taking, wrote researchers back in 2009, that would increase their risk of road traffic accidents, even in the absence of marijuana use. Ha! Whatever, dude. Like, give me a break. For marijuana, the unadjusted odds ratio was 1.25, but after statistically adjusting for gender, age, race, ethnicity, and driver alcohol concentration, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration confirmed in 2017 that there was no significant contribution to crash risk from any drug. So the fear was Kevin Sabet saying, today's marijuana is 10 times more dangerous than the marijuana of the 60s that many parents smoked in their dorm rooms. In fact, nobody's parents were smoking 1 to 3% THC back in college. I don't think 1 or 3% THC really ever existed. Sabet told Salon that Whopper, based on federal potency data from the 70s, that samples dried out ditchweed sitting in hot evidence lockers. That data does not show any THC values above 3% until 94, with values as low as 1.38%. Nobody was smoking that shit, I guarantee it. Yes, marijuana is stronger these days, but it's not as if Cheech and Chong in the 1970s or Snoop and Dre in the 90s were smoking swag. As I've shown above, those dangers, Kevin Sabet predicted, greater addiction, social costs, and car crashes from today's legal, not your parents' Woodstock weed, just didn't materialize. Exactly. Sabet told me personally he toured Oregon during the 2014 legalization push, that the more the public sees of the results of marijuana legalization, the more their opinion will change. Aha. Given that national public support for legalization is at 60% and Oklahoma just passed California-style medical marijuana, I guess we'll have to give that one to him. Kevin Sabet is he's just a terrible, terrible liar. And he always runs, and he runs scared. He ran scared from me when he finally blocked me on Twitter because I said something in a tweet that Tom Angel called him out on, and I said something about him being a big pharma-funded joke, I think. It was a fraud or phony or some shit. And he snapped back at me on that tweet that he is not funded by Big Pharma. So I looked into who funded him, and I found out who funded him, and who did a lot of the funding was that Julie Shower. And it's just this is just a whole sidebar of drama. This thing with like Kevin Sabet and people like me and Radical Russ and Tom Angel and other people that are in the movement. And when I say the movement, I just mean the people that are talking back and that are making their voices known and speaking back to these prohibitionists, whether it just be some former government person like Kevin Sabet or some person like Julie Shower or other groups that have emerged to try to oppose legalization in certain areas. That's what we do. That's kind of like what we're not interested in journalism. We're not interested in getting famous because people know that they want to read our articles or whatever, or see us deliver the evening news on your local channel 6 news, 6 o'clock news or whatever. That's not who we are. We're people that want to articulate the truth about the plant, and people like Kevin Sabet are just intellectual scumbags that they got nothing, so they run and hide. That's all they've been doing lately, is running scared. So with their tail between their legs, I give them about 6 more months before prohibitionists like Kevin Sabet will no longer exist. I mean, he's really got nothing else to do. And by November, more states are going to legalize marijuana. Maybe even more than we already have on the radar, because we have some ballot initiatives that are in play right now. We have North Dakota that could possibly have it on the ballot. All right, Oklahoma has half the signatures they need right now to get it on the ballot. So I'll be following that closely. I'll be following the other one. And there's a lot of shit going on, guys. So, you just see me crank out 3 videos in one day. That's kind of what's going to be happening for the next probably like week whenever I do crank out videos, because there's a lot of stuff I want to cover. There's a lot of people making noise. There's a lot of voices that need to be countered with facts. And that's what we're doing here. Thanks again, Radical Russ, for putting that together, man. You're always doing good work, man. Keep it up. Peace.